What's up, gang? Welcome to The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh. I'm so pumped to have you here with me. Now listen, The Greatness Machine, we're about two things. Number one, people who are living their passions. And number two, those who are creating greatness in the world and doing both of these things despite the odds against them. Each episode, we're going to feature interviews with game changers, business leaders, telling us their origin stories, what made them tick, what got them to where they are now. Why? So it can help you step into your greatness within your life, your business, and your career. Occasionally, you might hear a few solo episodes from myself, moi, as I say, as I leverage my 20 years of entrepreneurship as a CEO and founder to help you grow and level up in your journey to scale your life and your business. So come be a fly on the wall, enjoy the conversation, and I'm stoked to have you here with me. Guys, welcome to this episode of The Greatness Machine. I'm your host, Darius Mirshahzadeh, and I'm flying solo here. Happy New Year, everybody. Woohoo. It is January 8th. I'm getting ready to do up my solo for tomorrow. I was thinking about this before I did the solo. Sometimes this week flew by. Let me just say that. This week I was like, I'm going to spend some time, do some solos. And I mean, this week damn, I can't believe it's Friday. I really can't. And so I'm not looking at the camera right now because I'm trying to look at my list. I was going to do like part 3 of How to Be a Strong Person, because that's a series we were working on before the holidays. And I'm changing my mind. I'm not doing that. I'm going to do something different. That's the beauty of solos, is that you kind of get where you guys all get where I'm at. So where I'm at is what you get. Let me fix the camera here. So yeah, it's January 8th. This is going to go air tomorrow morning. And it'll air actually in a few hours here. And I was thinking about what's been going on, and I have been doing a ton of embodiment work lately. So for those of you that are not familiar with embodiment work, it's an interesting. There's different ways of doing it, but I have a good friend who turned me on to a meditation, higher self meditation, and it's something I started doing probably about almost a year ago. It's and I've been a pretty avid transcendental meditation person for the last, 10 years, or sorry, 3 years, 10 years. Woo, I wish. No, 3 years. 6 years ago is when I first started meditating, but 3 years, in the last 3 years, I've gotten into TM, and I kind of moved. I haven't done TM in a while now that I think about it. I've been doing this meditation around my higher self. And, if you start thinking of I'm going to get a little bit mystical with you. For me, it's about how do I show up as my truest and best self, my highest self. If I disregard the things, the casualties that make me a human being, that, good, bad, or indifferent, those experiences. But if I start thinking about who I am in the world above that, like my best self, my highest self, if you're a person that believes in maybe multiple lives, or if you're a person that believes in reincarnation, it's like that soul moves from life to life. It's that highest self is, potentially that energy that connects us, through our lives. If you believe in someone that goes to heaven, or you believe in that concept of heaven or hell, the higher self is what, transcends all those things. So at least that's my understanding of it. And I am a believer in a lot of these things. I'm a believer in actually reincarnation. I'm a believer in, that we have multiple lives. But let's put all that aside. So for some of you might have turned me off already, but hear me out here, because what I want you to think about is who are you at your best, when you disregard anger, fear, pettiness, when you talk to yourself like crap with self-worth, when you the things that we as humans kind of struggle to overcome. When you disregard all that, and some of you might be saying, I cut myself off from those things. Anything negative, I don't even react to. And there's a quote that I've said on the show before, and it's now become one of my more prominent quotes. I quote a lot, which is Carl Jung's quote that Nathaniel Shotkin and I were talking about last year. It's until the way the quote goes, let me see if I don't butcher it, is until we make the unconscious conscious, it will control our life and we will call it fate. So the question I'm going to start you off with is, what unconscious thing do you have that is not conscious? and I think a really interesting way to assess this is to think through a list of common emotions. Anger. Let's do the negative ones, because I think the positive ones we probably all, Some of them we do. Gratitude's a good one though. Like I'm a person that struggles with gratitude. But gratitude would be one. Um, Anger is, for me, anger is very prominent, but gratitude is one I struggle to kind of access. Um, I struggle to access sadness. I struggle to access self worth sometimes, abandonment. You know, we all have these things, by the way. And they all show up. For some people, it's more prominent than others. But I'm naming a few that kind of the ones that I struggle to access. So think to yourself, take a moment, think to yourself, what are the emotions that maybe you struggle to access? And if you say, oh, I feel them, but I choose not to feel them, then that's a choice to not access them, which is similar to struggle to access. For me, I actually don't feel some of them. I understand the concept of what all those are, but I don't have access to them. As you know, they're not things that I definitely feel. For me, I've gone through life where it's like kind of compartmentalize a lot of these things, and then we go on our merry way. And so, what I talked about this at episode 400, which was I believe that sovereignty comes from emotional sovereignty, and emotional sovereignty comes from having a relationship with every part of ourselves. And I was talking to a guy whose name shall remain nameless, but he's a very successful entrepreneur, he's a friend of mine, and I actually mentor him. And I was out. I said, no, like I'm basically I'm the dictator, and I tell what emotions get to show up in my life. And I laughed. I was like, well, that means you don't have a relationship with them. And if you do, it's not, they probably don't feel safe to be heard, right? If we start thinking of these different emotions in terms of do these different parts of us feel safe to come out, and what happens when we build a relationship with them. Now I'm going like deep into embodiment and parts work and stuff like that. But what got me there was I started doing a meditation last February called Higher Self Meditation. So I'm going to walk you through what it is, because a good friend of mine taught it to me. It's something that I started doing. And for me, it's kind of my daily meditation now. It's what I do. And then I decide if I want to go deeper, and maybe I can transition from it into embodiment work, which is something that I do maybe every 4 or 5 days. I can go into a TM meditation. But for me, it's a lot of visualization around the higher self. And so there's a couple parts to it. So I'm going to kind of walk you through what I do and what happens. And it's going to sound a little crazy, but it's what I've found is it's been pretty powerful. It's a good way for me to kind of access where and who do I want to be in a spiritual way, and both in a physical way. And so number one is pick a place in the world that's your happy place. Like, what is the place where it's like, my gosh, if I could just be in that moment. Like you may have it on video. The cool thing about us having phones these days is a lot of times we've recorded these like happy moments or happy places. For me, I have it, and it's Playa Guiones in Nosara, Costa Rica. And I have this amazing like sunset there. I mean, just absolutely gorgeous. And it's like purple and red skies, and the clouds are orange, and they're like drifting up into the sun. And I mean, it's unbelievable. The sand is white and soft, and like that's my happy spot. Like if I ever am like not in a good spot, I'll close my eyes and I go to Playa Guiones, October 2021. August 2021, when I was there with my family on a vacation. And my God, it's like it's breathtaking. If you're interested, I will send you pictures. Like I send to people, and they're like, "That's incredible." I'm like, "Yeah, that was real." I can't even believe it. It's like one of these things where it takes your breath away. We're like, "How's this real?" That's my happy spot. So I go to Playa Guiones, and I go and I stand, and I imagine my feet touching the like ocean drenched sand. So I get this kind of grounding. And the idea here is that you want to get grounded, right? And then we want to rotate and move into our higher self. So first of all, find your happy place. I'm telling you what mine is, and I'm telling you what I do. And if I'm laying on the bed when I meditate, which I like to do, is I'll pull my knees up and I plant my feet on the mattress, right? Just so I can feel something under my feet. If I'm sitting in my chair, I'll put my feet on the ground. I like to take my shoes off when I do it, because I want to get my feet grounded, and I want to be able to feel the floor under my feet. I'm a person, by the way, that goes in the backyard and walks the backyard barefoot all the time. Grounding is like, for me, that's like breath work. It's like, it just brings me down into like a good spot. And there's a lot of actually interesting science around electromagnetically, like how we ground ourselves through, touching the earth. So I'll ground myself in that way. And so what I'm about to say next is a visualization exercise. It's what I do. And I'm going to walk you through how I do it. I start to imagine roots growing out of my feet. And I do it in one direction into the I actually like try to feel the roots growing out of my feet, like tree roots. Think of like me becoming a tree. And I imagine those roots almost like if like root systems, how they kind of look like fingers, almost like fingering through each other into the ground. And I count like slowly to 10. And I imagine each foot is a second. So 1/1000, one is a whole foot and I try to feel the actual like root coming in through the sand and dirt every foot. 2 is 2 feet, 3 seconds is 3 feet, so on and so forth. And I'm doing this all, and it's like this white, and I almost imagine like a magical root, right? So I'm feeling the sensation, and this is all happening in my head, in my body, in my head, of the roots grounding into the earth. Now imagine I'm in this amazing beach, wet sand, amazing sunset. I smell the ocean air. These are the things I'm imagining when I do this. I hear the crash of the waves. I hear that like white noise of the ocean, which is one of my favorite white noises. Sometimes I'll hear seagulls. I see this beautiful sunset. Sometimes my family's standing around me. Usually I'm alone though. And I suddenly feel this like these roots coming out of my feet and going into the ground for a count of 10 until I go 10 feet deep. At that moment, I actually feel like the roots come up through my spine. And now I'm imagining a tree trunk growing through my spine, up through my body. And I do the same thing, but it comes up through the crown of my head. So I'm imagining the roots are into the ground, I'm grounded into the ground, and now this tree trunk is coming up through up through my spine, up through my head, up through the crown of my head. And I'm sure you're listening to this. You're like, Darius, you're crazy. And I'm telling you, this is my favorite meditation. I do it every day. And in fact, I'm happy to like walk you through it at the end. So you can actually do this as a guided meditation once I walk you through what I do. And so what happens then is the trunk of the tree kind of breaks through my crown and goes 10 feet up into the sky. So 10 feet down, 10 feet up. And I feel it almost like spiraling through my body. And again, I have a 10 count that I do this for. 10 count, 10 seconds up. And now I'm standing there and I can actually sometimes feel like I'm so deep in this meditation, I can feel this tree through my body. My body is part of the tree. And then once it's 10 seconds up, and it's almost like this pointed end on the end. So it's almost like I don't want to say like a sword, but it's a tree with a pointed end going up into the sky, the grounding of the roots into the ground. I feel it in my spine, in my, spine, tailbone, up through my, I really do try to feel it up through my scalp, up into my, not scalp, up into my crown of my head, up into the sky. And I do all these things. And then this is when it gets kind of interesting and cool. I imagine that the entire tree turns into this like magical gold light, right? And I imagine a magical gold light shooting through my body, up through my head, into the sky, into the ground, and I'm just kind of there. And then this thing I imagine happens is I start rotating like a circular rotation, my body through the trunk of the tree up into the air. So I'm on this beach and I go 10 feet up in the air. And it takes a minute, and I literally physiologically can feel these sensations through my body. So I'm deep in the meditation. I'm elevating my body up this magical golden light tree into the air. And then I get up into the clouds, or no, I'm like sometimes in the clouds, but usually I'm just kind of up in the sky. And at that point, I call upon my higher self. So again, your higher self is your best self. And I, at that moment, am my best self. And one of the things I do is I start to pick different people in my life that maybe things aren't going well with. Or I will call upon my spirit guides, or I will call upon my ancestors, or I'll call upon my guardian angels. I believe that all these things exist. You might think I'm crazy. I believe in them. You can pick who you want. Sometimes I call upon my dad who passed away, my grandparents. These are my ancestors, passed away. I'll call people in my life that love me. I'll call upon them to show up. And I'm like literally one by one. Sometimes I will surround myself with 10 people, and I will just ask them for their support. I'll ask them for their guidance, whatever it is that I think I need for that day. So now, when I first started doing this, I was doing it honestly. I was going through a thing in my business, and I was having conversations with a person in my business life with their higher self. And so, and it was just, and literally, I would sit there and like have conversation, and it was my higher self talking to their higher self. And my belief there was I could transmute reality to connect at a higher level to try to affect the real world. And you might think I'm an absolute crazy person, but I don't know if it worked or not, but for me, it got me grounded. It got me more like calm about the situation. And if anything, energetically, I felt good about, at least how I was showing up in that relationship. I felt like showed up grounded, and I showed up my best self, which is all I have control over anyway. Anyway, I've been doing this meditation, and for me it's a go-to because I feel like it connects me with a part of me that I think exists at my best. And for me, this is a meditation I now do usually 4 or 5 times a week. I will sometimes transition that to embodiment, which I will leave out of this conversation because it's much more involved. But think to yourself, when is the last time you connected to your higher self? When's the last time you called upon people you love, like maybe not in the reality, but in your meditation to support you and to love you? Maybe you could call upon yourself or to give yourself love and compassion. Um, One of the things I do when I'm in the middle of this meditation is I will actually ask myself to, at the end, is to give love and light. And there's a moment where gold light, pink light is kind of sprinkled upon me, from people who love me, from my guardians, from my ancestors. I will do the same, and it comes out from my heart. And this is happening through this visualization. And then when I'm done, and again, sometimes I'll stay there and have conversations for 20, 30 minutes with, if something needs to get worked out, that I want to show up in my real life, my physical life as my highest and best self. This is a great place for me to like have some exchange with the people in my life that I want to have exchanges with, that I may not be ready to do it in the physical realm. And so at the end, I kind of like rotate back down through this light, this like golden lighted tree that's been forming through my body. I ground myself back into the ground, and I give myself grace. I give myself love, and I thank myself, and I thank my ancestors. I thank my guardian angels. I thank the people who I exchange a conversation with. I go one by one. I do it very intentionally. Sometimes I'll do it when I'm still up in the sky, and then I will look in my happy place again, and I'll take a deep breath, and I will open my eyes. And that is that. And I can do that in 8 to 10 minutes, 5 minutes sometimes if I want, but sometimes it's 20 minutes. Depends on the day, depends on what's going on, depends on what I want to talk about. But for me, it's about connecting with my higher self. It's around grounding myself. It's around thanking the people that have made my life a better life, thanking myself, and then getting ready to go conquer the day. And you can do it at nighttime if you want. You can do it in the morning. But for me, this has been one of my favorite meditations. I had a friend of mine teach this to me, and it's been remarkable. It's something that I'm grateful that I've gotten to learn. And what I've found is the more I can connect with my higher self, is the more I have the opportunity to trust myself. And the more I have the opportunity to trust myself, what I'm starting to find is it gives me these moments of clarity. I'm getting much more clarity around not negotiating who I am to please those around me as much. It's not about them; it's about me. Because in the past, it was more about them, and I've been a bit of a people pleaser by nature. And what that's giving myself, unfortunately, permission to do is betray myself to make others feel more comfortable in the moment, or to get a deal done because I really wanted the deal, and there was a part of me that needed to get that deal done to feel like I deserved, to be whatever it was that I felt like I needed to be deserved. And so Instead, it's who are you? What's your truest self? Like, what is it that matters most to you? And for me, what I've come to the conclusion is it's elevating to become the best and highest version of myself, and to ground myself in who I am, to trust myself, and to show up in my truest and honest version of myself every single day so that I can support those around me that I want to pour into, that I want to create value into, that I want to give love to, and to do it from the best version of me that possibly can exist. So I've found that this is a really great meditation for that. I wanted to, I know it's a little bit out there. I know if you've been watching the show, you'll see that there's a mystical part of how I show up in the world. And this is part of it. I want to be able to connect to the best version of Darius. And like, my gift to you is, can you do the same for yourself? So again, closing your eyes, grounding your feet, imagining your happy place, getting comfortable there, 10 seconds of the roots grounding into the earth, or 10 feet into the earth, however many seconds that takes for you. Then that tree growing through you, up through your crown, 10 feet into the air, turns into magical golden light, you elevating, having the conversations, asking what you need from those you need it from, thanking them, thanking yourself, elevating back down, de-escalating or de-elevating, I don't know if that's a word, back down, grounding yourself back in the ground, giving yourself grace, deep breath, open your eyes, and voila, you have now done a higher self meditation. I wish you all an amazing 2026 of being your highest and best selves. Until next time, peace out, everybody. We love you. You are listening to The Greatness Machine, and that's a wrap for today. Listen, if you love what you heard, subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform that you're tuning in on, so that you don't miss any of our future episodes. We have tons of great people coming on, and we're stoked to have you here to enjoy it with us. Leave us a review. Tell us what you love most about this particular episode. We love getting the reviews. We love to see what you guys love most. And if this particular episode, made you think of someone who's leveling up in their business and in their life, print screen, share it with them. Leaders are the best givers, and after all, we're all here to support and grow with each other. And in case you want to see some of the fun behind the scenes shots or some of the things that we're doing, I'm actually writing about this in my weekly newsletter. Go to www.therealdarius.com and subscribe to my newsletter. We're talking about fun things like business and life and mindfulness and cryptocurrencies and gosh, I don't even know, everything and anything, but it's tons of fun stuff I write about. I try to get it out on a weekly basis. You can subscribe at www.therealdarius.com. And with that said, look, thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I love you. Peace. We're out of here. See you guys on the next one.
She's my lover.